Welcome to another edition of 7 Questions 4, brought to you by Jersey Mike's, always a sub above. Today, we're joined by Manasquan boys basketball coach Andrew Bilodeau, who just completed his 15th season with the Warriors, and it was certainly one for the record books, culminating with the win over Caldwell last weekend and the school's first ever overall state championship as they win the Group 2 crown. Coach, first of all, congratulations on an epic season and with a very appropriate, I'm sure, ending.
Certainly better than the alternative. We could say that for sure. But yeah, it was all too quick an ending for us, a really unique ending. We were talking about it on the bus on the way up to Rutgers, like the idea that one way or the other it's over. And we talked about it after the game against Middle, like we have one practice left. Most seasons you don't know when your last practice is, but yeah, it was unique and very special for the kids.
You tend to downplay accomplishments, but I would have to believe that finishing up with the first ever state group championship in the history of the school is indeed something special.
Well, yeah, there's no question. I mean, I think it's something that the kids will never get away from. We're really blessed with a ridiculously fantastic group of alumni players and guys that stick around the program and come back around. And so if nothing else, this season gives them all something to argue about as far as who the best team is, in recent Manasquan history and whatnot. But yeah, it's a special ending, for a really great group of seniors and a great group of guys that, they deserve all their successes and everything they've achieved. And I just hope it becomes one of those, warm, fuzzy Kodak moments we talk about in their memories as they turn into old men like us.
Before your game last week with Middle Township, a very gritty team, by the way. Yeah, I know you're breathing a sigh of relief. But before that, you mentioned that I had kidded you about the top you wear. You used to wear this blue top that I can't remember you wearing anything else. And then you've recently had something new on. And I kind of teased you about it. And you said, I'm no different than some of this team has a lot of weird idiosyncrasies, and you had your own because you wore that out of necessity and your team didn't lose after that.
Yeah, there's I'm unfortunately incredibly stricken with superstitions. Sometimes they're debilitating to the point where, the coffee cups at Wawa have to be in the right place, and I have to be at the right fountain. Yeah, like it's crazy. And I had we lost to Union Catholic. I tried to change outfits, and the next game we played, I had forgotten a shirt or something, and so I had nothing to wear but kind of a sweatsuit, and I was stuck in it. We won, and I couldn't take it off again. And but the kids, they've been stricken with their own issues. Who drives to practice, what seats they sit in, all kinds of crazy stuff, what they're ordering, pregame meals. And, it's just one of those things. You don't mess with the juju,
One of the things that sort of became a talking point was the fact that your players like to jump in the ocean. Not for the polar bear plunge, but as a regular after a win. And if I'm not mistaken, they kind of lured you in on that one.
We did. We got suckered on that one. I don't know how it started, but they started doing it, months ago, and literally every day after practice or before practice, they would go. And so somebody brought it up, and I, like anybody would, I agreed. Yeah, you win the group championship, we're going in. And that included all the coaches. So unbeknownst to them, we told them all pack a bag because, if Saturday goes the way we hope it's going to, you're going in also. And it was fun. It was great. A lot of the community was there. Somebody tipped off the lifeguards because there was a fire lifeguard truck there, and it was a good event. There were quite a few witnesses. I'm sure there's some video out there somewhere, but it's something, I hope the kids remember stupid stuff like that, long into the rest of their lives. And I hope it's something fun for them and something they'll remember.
How cold was it, by the way?
It was not warm. It was brutal. My 12-year-old son came with me, and it was not very fun. I can tell you that.
With Camden sidelined this year from the state tournament, did you have that feeling, at least privately, going into the state tournament, this is our year?
No, I mean, there's North 1, North 2, South Jersey. Like there's just so many teams, you know what I mean? And we start scouting early, but, we started kind of compiling film early, I should say. But you don't see these teams until it's time to play them, and you really don't know. It would be pretty foolish to think, ahead like that. And it's really not something we ever talk about. We'll prepare for it. We'll work like heck for it. But, there's too many good teams out there. I mean, that South River team we played in the sectional final was just absurd. I mean, they were one of the most offensively talented teams we played all year, and we played everybody. And then that middle team that you alluded to, my God, that was a rough group of kids. And, we can't look that far ahead. We really can't.
You won the Shore Conference tournament for the third time in 4 years. Just about every Shore Conference basketball fan I know, outside of those who play for Ranney, were shooting for a Manasquan St. Rose, like Creed number 3, and of course St. Rose, who's now a division rival for you. They got knocked off by Ranney in the semifinals. I don't expect you to admit it, but were some of your players disappointed there wasn't a round 3?
I don't think we ever discussed that. I mean, watching the game a little bit as it went on, it was a blowout early, that St. Rose game. And so when we kind of went in the locker room to change and whatnot, and then, came back out and it had gotten close, and, and then our game started immediately after. So, we didn't, and then it's one day of practice. And again, there was just no time to discuss that. And
yeah,
I mean, I'm sure it'll be a talking point for people. But again, like that kind of like your other question, people, coaches too, we all think we know who is going to advance. And, there's a lot more to this than, than coaching or skill or luck. It's just the bounce of the ball a certain night. You have no idea. So I know people probably wanted that game or wanted to have something to talk about, but we played I think that, the second best team or the best team on that other side. They won that side of the bracket. So, I mean, it is what it is. I guess Matt Manley wanted something to write about, but he didn't get it. And we had 2 really strange games already with St. Rose, with who was in and out and who didn't play, who was eligible and who was sick. And the third one would have really been a totally unique experience from the other 2. So it really wouldn't have been a so-called grudge match,
Well, you'll see him next year, that's for sure. There's a saying that big time players play their best in big games. Would you say that sums up your outstanding sophomore, Darius Adams?
I would say that, he has certainly elevated his game when the moment called for it. And he's done that for 2 years now. And he'd be the first to tell you, and has on many occasions mentioned, his teammates and the culture of their program and how it lends itself to success in those big games, and how well the group has played together. But specifically, yes, Darius has shone brightly when it was needed, and certainly elevated his stature, I think, in Shore Conference lore recently.
Yeah, no question about that. It's already got nearly 1,100 points with 2 years left to go. It really didn't come out publicly as much until late in the season that Ryan Frauheim had lost his mother to cancer shortly before the season began. He would go on to have a terrific season. I told you before we started recording, he's my favorite player in the Shore Conference. I said that last year, but he dedicated the season to his mom. And I'm wondering, how important was the team to getting him through what would be a rough time for any young person?
Yeah, I mean, that's a question for him, but I think he and his father have both commented on that. And, you know, the community here is a little different. It's a really tight sports community, not just a basketball community at Manasquan. And I think the support from our parents and from the community at large, you know, for he and his family, that support has been outstanding. And certainly within our program, I know the kids were just unbelievable in their support of he and his family. And, you know, I would really be short on words to try to, you know, speak for them, but I know that he took it very seriously. You know, that kind of responsibility, I think he felt, to honor his mother as the year went on. And certainly his brother was doing the same at the college level. And, you know, I think it rings true for a lot of us, you know, that have been around sports for a long time, that you know, you can call it extracurricular, but it's really not. It's all part of the learning process. And sports are so important and so intertwined in how these kids develop and what they become later in life. And I think for all of us who were part of this, and certainly including Ryan, it's been a great learning experience, you know, in how to deal with, you know, setbacks and the issues that life will throw at you. And I hope in some small way basketball helped to, you know, assuage that grief, at least, you know, for a very short time.
Yeah. I think it clearly did. You have 4 of your top players who are returning next year. We mentioned Darius and Ryan, and you have Griffin Linstra, who we both agree is about as good a defensive player as there is in the Shore Conference, and Alex Konoff, who gives you a heck of a lot. Expectations will be high once again. I know you've been accustomed to that. I mean, 20-win seasons have become the norm, but I'm coming off a state championship. Are you prepared for that? I mean, it's a long way off, I know, for the season, but, you know,
Well,
does that come with the territory?
Thankfully, yes. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, but we do talk about that a lot. You know, 2 years ago, when these guys were freshmen and sophomores, or a year ago now, you know, but soon to be 2 years ago, we had lost Ben Roy to injury in the preseason. And, you know, the prognosticators didn't expect much from us, and we proved them wrong. So, you know, when we talk to the kids, we say, look, you know, it has nothing to do with what people think you will be. You know, let's write the story and we'll figure it out in March. And so when people think you know, you aren't good, they're wrong. But they can be just as wrong when those same people think you're going to be fantastic. So, you know, it's about you writing that story. It's about what, you know, you kind of create as a legacy for yourself. It has nothing to do with preseason talk. And, you know, you're a sprained ankle away from losing 3 or 4 games, or, you know, a kid getting sick or the flu or so, you know, so it's such a nebulous thing to talk about what a team should do.
Yeah.
You know? So expectations, no one's expectations will be any higher than those that we have for ourselves.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So it's a long season, obviously, for you. I mean, your team, I mean, you go as long as you can, right? I mean, you
Sure.
played all the way into the month of March. So now that the season is over, what do you do personally with all the time you get back every day?
all the time I get back. Well, should I get my wife on here and we can put her in the Zoom? You know, my kids are all active in activities, sports and otherwise, and doing a lot of that. Kev, as you know, you'll be doing that with grandchildren now soon. But I coach my son's AAU team, and I was out in the lacrosse field watching my daughter the other night at 9 o'clock at night in the wind and cold, and that's probably the more important stuff in our lives, as we look back on it. But that's what I'm doing now. I introduced myself to my family. They're pretty nice people. That was good. I haven't seen them in a while, but other than that, just doing a lot of family stuff, and soon we'll be gearing up for our summer workouts, and the 24 season begins.
Well, try and enjoy some downtime. It was a long season, but a great season. And what you have built at Manasquan is, I know you won't say you built it, but what you have certainly clearly maintained and taken to a different level has been something special. You ended up, rankings are argumentative, but you ended up 9th in the state. I guess we'd call it in the New Jersey NJ.com poll. But you clearly are one of the premier public schools in the state of New Jersey. You've been that way year in and year out, and the bar has been raised high, but your players have tended to accept that challenge, and I'm sure they will in the future. I really appreciate you giving us some time. Time is precious, so take that time and get to lacrosse practice or whatever you have to do today. I'm sure your wife has plenty on that what we call that honey-do list for you to do, and we really do appreciate it, sir. Enjoy some downtime, and look forward to talking hoops with you always in the future.
Thank you so much. Always good to see you.
That is Andrew Bilodeau, of course, who is the head coach at Manasquan High School, who had an epic season. They get captured all by winning the the state Group 2 championship, the first in school history. You've been watching and listening to 7 Questions With, brought to you by Jersey Mike's, always a sub above. Thanks for watching. Keep it here on shoresportsnetwork.com.